My freshman year at Salle University in Manila was unforgettable. It was memorable not because of the experience of a whole new world where everything was new and everyone was stranger, but it was due to the strange things that I encountered at the campus. DLSU is said to be plagued by its harsh Second World War background. The Imperial Japanese Army massacred refugees and lost Sallian brothers who took cover inside the university's Chapel of the Most Blessed Sacrament, which is housed inside Salle Hall. Bro. Gabriel Connon Hall, which contains the offices of the university's student groups, is said to be haunted by a female student who died after becoming stuck in the building's now disused elevator. Other sites where paranormal activity has been observed are Bro. Andrew Gonzalez Hall, St. Mutien Marie Hall, and St. Joseph Hall. My name is Rommel, or Mel as my classmates call me, and I would like to share my own eerie experiences in some of those buildings. My first day at college was a mix of delight, anticipation, dread, and surprise. I got up early, ate breakfast, put on my college uniform, and prepared to go to the university. My father dropped me off near the campus gate. We were too early for my first class. I hurriedly hopped off our van and felt self-conscious when I noticed some students staring at me. I asked my father earlier to let me drive by myself, but he declined. I am not sure of his reasons, but I told him that I am no longer the young boy from senior high. He honked at me and I waved at him as he closed the van's window. It was another awkward moment as I saw some students laughing, although I was not sure if it was because of me. As I looked around my dream institution, I felt a mixture of uncertainty and excitement. I took a deep breath and walked through the jam-packed school grounds. The beautiful edifice, with its massive pillars, had an indelible impression on me. Because I was unfamiliar with the Salle style of things, I was perplexed. Students with hydro flasks streamed up and down the hallways on their way to their classes. They were wearing branded clothes and had Apple devices with them. But from time to time, especially on dark and isolated corners, I would see dark figures. It's like an anomaly that I'm not sure whether my eyes are playing tricks on me or there's something else. I tried to ignore it as much as possible and tried to start my life as a frosh in DLSU right. The gentle breeze caressed my hair as I looked at the tall, high-tech buildings. Later, I counted more than 13 of them, but there could be more. The doors are sensor-controlled, they open and close on their own. I also noticed a lot of cats on campus, even inside the buildings. They are bigger than the ones we usually see at home. I learned later that these cats were trained not to eat food from the students. I felt bad when a black cat blocked my way. Yes, I believe in superstition that it is bad luck to cross paths with a black cat. I attended my first class as an accountancy major. I sat at the back and met my classmates in our English class. Because everyone was chattering, the room was quite noisy. My classmates were exchanging pleasantries and some introduced themselves to me. I was astonished to learn that some of them were children of politicians and business tycoons, but they were down to earth. We waited for the professor for 30 minutes and left the room when no one came. Two of my newly found friends were my classmates Arnell and Varghese. I learned later that Arnell is from one of the elite families in our city. Varghese, on the other hand, is an international student. He's from India and settled in the country to finish his higher education. They asked me to come with them to the pantry to get some snacks. I was surprised that tables were full of bags, laptops and iPhones without anyone looking at them. The students were lined up at the counter and just left their belongings. They used their things to reserve their spot. Since we don't want to waste our time falling in line, we went to the food stalls at the Bloemen Hall, and after getting some snacks, we sat on the bench. We met some upperclassmen who asked for our names. I could tell that they were bullies, but Arnell told us that they could just be asking us to join their schoolwork. Varghese warned me to be careful when dealing with them. When my classmates were gone, I suddenly felt a light pressure between my eyebrows which reached my forehead and became a constant pain there. I noticed something different with my vision. I had to wear eyeglasses as my eyes became sensitive to light, and I noticed the colors were brighter. I tried closing my eyes and I saw geometric patterns and shapes. It was so odd that it made me more confused. I also started experiencing vivid dreams at home. Some were nice ones, but there were scary ones too. I saw Arnell with the same students from the higher years, which we call upperclassmen, coming out from the Henry Sy Senior building. I had the intuition that they were bullies and I was right. Indeed, they were members of a fraternity and Arnell convinced me to join them. I was afraid of hazing, so I was hesitant, and I knew that the fraternity was not recognized by the school. Arnell demonstrated how much fun it was to be a part of them. They let me witness a prank at one of the restrooms of St. Joseph Hall. They bullied a Frost by locking him inside one of the cubicles, but some students arrived. We opened the cubicle and he was gone. We scanned the whole toilet and he was not there. We saw him in the pantry and told us that he was there all the time. The weird experience wasn't funny at all, as it sent shivers to my spine. Arnell and Varghese were not my classmates in my algebra class, which is my last subject for that day. I was sitting at the back when I noticed a lovely student sitting in front as the professor talked about the syllabus and course expectations. There are a lot of beautiful girls on campus, but this one caught my eye. I was hoping that we would introduce ourselves one by one, just like what other professors did in the other subjects, but the class was dismissed early. I told myself that I should meet and get to know this woman who captivated my heart. I followed the lovely girl who went to the St. Salle Hall and proceeded to the chapel. My heart was palpitating in excitement. She went near the altar and sat at one of the long chairs, then knelt down. I sat down at the back and waited for her. Then, I heard disembodied footsteps approaching me. I was puzzled because it was like the sound of people marching in cadence. To my surprise, I saw some bloodied soldiers who walked past me and vanished as they approached the altar. I lost my focus and found out that the lovely girl had already left the chapel. When I stood up, I spotted a priest kneeling at the blessed sacrament at the altar. Then he stood up and I noticed that he was headless. I removed my eyeglasses and wiped it, and I saw his silhouette moving in my direction. I was stunned and ran away from the chape. I went home anxious and baffled. I did not tell anyone about my weird experiences in the university because I feared that I might be rejected and dismissed as crazy. But the haunting continued and they gave me some headaches and dizziness. There were a lot of students in the Connon Hall for the Frost welcoming, and the lovely girl caught my attention again. This time it was not because she was pretty, but because she looked spooky. She has long pitch black hair, pale skin, and a blank stare. She walked towards the elevator and disappeared. I tried to avoid the location where I saw her, but I needed to get to the bookshop and had to walk by that area. There was a noticeable dip in temperature there, which I observed. It was unmistakably cooler. A mild beating on the wall was also audible. I felt the vibration when I touched the wall with my fingers. I was taken aback and had to remove my hand from it. When I tried to touch it again, I realized the amplitude was coming from the abandoned elevator. Then I heard a woman's voice inside crying. I moved my head close to the elevator when it suddenly opened and a hand pulled me inside. I fell down to a deep dark pit with my back first. I expected that my bones would be broken, but I did not feel any pain. I sat down terrified, waiting for the worst. I looked around and got a glimpse of the surroundings. I saw dark figures wailing in anguish, and their cries were so deafening that I needed to cover my ears. At that point Varghese approached me and told me we were late for our next subject. He noticed that I was looking at the abandoned elevator covering my ears and asked me what happened. I later told him about my odd experiences. He mentioned that my third eye might be opened and that is why I see scary things. I was astonished to hear it from him. I thought that he was just joking, but he mentioned his cousin Pavani, who was also our Indian schoolmate, knew how to help us close my third eye. That same week Varghese took me to his cousin's place. Pavani welcomed us in their front yard garden. She has beautiful eyes, dark skin and graceful demeanor. She smiled at me as she requested her nanny to bring us some refreshments. An overactive third eye, according to Pavani, comes with a slew of problems and risks. This can involve seeing, hearing, or feeling the presence of non-physical things that can cause one's view of reality to be thrown off. If this continues, she warned that one may be driven to the point of insanity. This made me determined to close my third eye. She made me realize that everything was interconnected, my headaches, my intuitions, dreams and hauntings. She taught me some forms of meditation, diet and grounding methods to help close my third eye. With Pavani's help, I became active in the social activities of our fraternity and no longer saw any hauntings. But before the pandemic, a student from another university died of hazing and our fraternity was considered as one of the main suspects. It was the most terrifying experience of all since I didn't want to make my parents upset. I realized that the most horrible actions are done by people, not by ghosts. Good thing we were not involved and my father now allows me to drive by myself. I am now about to graduate in the College of Business together with the lovely woman that I pursued on my first day of college life. She is soon to be my wife, but to be honest, she sometimes looks like the creepy girl at the elevator.